upside with his game and what he can do.
Shot clock winding down here in the half court. Out of the timeout, Jordan, 3 to shoot, 2 to shoot. Luwawu Cabarrot, foul is called, and Morant is hurt. Ja Morant has hopped to the bench area for Memphis. Oh boy. They're looking at the left ankle of Ja Morant. Timothé Luwawu Cabarrot at the free throw line. His reaction says it all. And he knew it right away, went for the block, and lands on the foot.
Yeah.
Ankle buckled. And Luwawu Cabarrot is still on his back in pain. Ja Morant. 51-47 as Luwawu Cabarrot cuts into the Memphis lead. Valanciunas hands it to Clark. Short, foul called. Nets are getting frustrated. And now Ja Morant helped to his feet. He cannot put any weight on that left foot.
And you could just see the clear pain that he is in.
Going to bring the wheelchair out for Morant. Already down Jaren Jackson, who's been out with a knee injury. Morant, obviously the face of this organization, and has created so much excitement in Memphis. Had 44 points on opening night against the San Antonio Spurs.
Yesterday, I repeat, the Clippers lost by 51 points yesterday. They were without Kawhi Leonard, who was out. Here is Paul George after the game.
I take full responsibility. It's a tough game coming from Christmas. I enjoyed my Christmas day. I enjoyed my Christmas day yesterday. Today just popped up on me a little too fast. I'll take full ownership of that, of coming out and being prepared to play today. Be a different situation come next game, and we'll be ready. Make sure our group will be ready.
Okay, so Coach Fizz, trailing by 50 at halftime, losing by 51 overall. Is that something, nothing, or everything?
Oh, that's something. You can't just discount losing by 50. I know Coach Lou was digging deep into that bag, trying to pull all his tricks out to get the team riled up and get them moving, but that turkey was sitting on them and all of those fixings and everything. So, I think the good thing about this is Paul George took ownership of it, and he had an opportunity to show that he could lead this team without Kawhi, and he missed that opportunity. He'll probably have it again, but that's why I think it's something, because he has to be able to take this team and carry it for stretches during the season, and that's going to be very important.
Look, I think it's nothing. I understand it looks terrible, but this is the third game of the year. They've looked great so far. They didn't have Kawhi. And, when Paul George basically, he just flat out said, look, I enjoyed my Christmas. I enjoyed it a little too much. Okay, it sounded like he got back from Denver and had a good time, right? And to me, it's like, look, you own that, and I like that he said I own that. I like that he said we had a little Christmas hangover there, and this happens. Like when you get down real early, this game was out of hand in the first quarter. I mean, I kept seeing the scores, and I was like, ooh, that looks really bad. And usually, if you close that gap by halftime, there's a chance it's not going to be ugly like that. But I mean, the second half was even. I don't know. I'm trying to find a bright side for him, but I think it's nothing. I think it's just a ball race kind of game.
Good job, Coach.
All right, I'm going to go in the middle here between you two. I'm going to create a new version. I know it's something, nothing, or everything, but I'm going to go snothing, okay? Snothing. Because it is a little bit of something, and it's kind of a little bit of nothing, okay?
Right.
Because it is the third game of the season, but my God. You can't be embarrassed like that at home.
Right.
I don't care you had a Christmas hangover. I don't care how much turkey you had, how much ham you had, how many fixings you had. Listen, there's not enough tryptophan in the world to make you sleepwalk through that game the way they sleepwalk through that. So that is an embarrassing situation. So I'm going to go and create a new category and call it snothing. All right. Next, the Brooklyn Nets suffered their first loss of the season to Charlotte last night. They also lost starter Spencer Dinwiddie, who went down with a partially torn ACL. We'll get to Dinwiddie's injury in just a moment. But first, Fizz, is the loss to the Hornets last night something, nothing, or everything?
To Brooklyn, it's only something because they lost Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, he's a critical piece to their overall success. He's a guy that plays next to Kyrie. He's a guy that can be on the court without Kyrie running the team and getting people shots and getting his own baskets. So he's been an integral part of what they do. And so I do think that is something because they lost him. Overall, the actual game, I don't think is a big deal to them at all. It is something to the Charlotte Hornets, who's a young team. Coach Borrego did a great job in winning that game.
Yeah, I'm going to say something just because of the injury to Spencer, because I think he's one of those underrated pieces that if you've got a guy who's okay playing next to Kyrie Irving, right, who knows how to do that already. Plus, Kyrie has not always been the most durable player. He's going to miss some time throughout his career. He's very rarely gone a season without missing at least a few games in a season. And so you lose somebody who has been a leader for you when Kyrie's been out. So I think that's something. I'm curious what that does to their thinking on trading for James Harden. I know that they have explored that. They've had conversations. They haven't gone very far. But James Harden would theoretically play next to Kyrie Irving. So just say it.
All right, I'm in agreement with you guys. I'm going to go something because of the Dinwiddie injury. The game is not really a big deal. I mean, you're going to lose one over 72 games. Not that big a deal. But they do have ball handling issues now when you think about it, right? After Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie out, now you're looking at guys like Tyler Johnson, right? You're looking at guys like Bruce Brown, who are nice players and who can handle the ball a little bit, but I don't know if you want them necessarily to be your secondary ball handlers on a team with championship aspirations. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they prove me wrong, but I do think that they would probably look to add a player in that vein, right, that can help them there. Now, Ramona, let me ask you this about Dinwiddie's injury. Like, what are the possibilities? Do they explore a deal for, a secondary ball handler? It doesn't have to be James Harden. Is that something that's on the table?
I think right now you roll with what you got. I mean, you mentioned they have other guys that can play in that role. It's just that Spencer was the best of them, and so it's got to be next man up, and you see where you're standing. But I think that you're now in evaluation mode. You see what do we have, and what I've seen from the Nets so far in the first couple of games of this season is they look like a team that can win the Eastern Conference, and they look like a team that could win the entire thing if they're healthy at the right time. I think Kevin Durant's answered a lot of questions about how he was going to come back from that Achilles injury. Looks great. And so if I'm the Nets, like, this is evaluation time. And do the backups that I have here, is the next man up, is he good enough? If not, you got a couple of months to figure out what you're going to do about it. But I don't know. I don't know if it changes their thinking in terms of James Harden. They can offer what they can offer, right? And Spencer Dinwiddie would have been part of that package. It's hard to trade an injured player, but that it does bring Brooklyn back to the forefront, at least in my mind, as a team that should look at a trade for James Harden. Because if you're in win now mode, you don't want to let an injury like that derail you.
In NBA 2K, coach, you can't trade injured players, but I guess in the league you could do it. But what do you make of what Ramona had to say there?
No, I think she makes some great points there, but I'm going to tell you, it's a kid that I coached there, Tyler Johnson, who you better not sleep on. Tyler is fearless. He's tough. He guards the ball. He's played backup point guard for us when I was in Miami. He can handle the role well. He's been seasoned and coached in multiple places now. So I do think they have a good safety net in Tyler Johnson and a guy that's going to compete. And remember, the ball is going to be in KD's hands and LeVert's hands. Simple as that. And so if a guy can get it over half court, get the ball to the right guys, and they can guard the position, they're a great filler for the Nets.
Yeah, and I think that kind of third role now, I mean, Dinwiddie was kind of feeling that out. He didn't have a huge scoring load, at least through the first couple of games of the season, but I think you look at Karis LeVert, who's going to have to carry that burden now for sure when it comes in Kyrie. But let's move on to James Harden, Ramona, who you mentioned, who dropped 44 points and 17 times in an overtime loss to the Blazers in his season debut on Saturday. So, Momo, is Harden's big stat line in his debut something, nothing, or everything?
I almost want to take a page out of your book and go in between, okay? But I don't know how something and everything go together. Everything? We'll go like that. Look, we all know James Harden can ball out. Like, he is a great player, but sometimes it helps to be reminded of that. Right? We haven't seen that since the bubble. We haven't seen him play and have a game like that where they're obviously down a lot of players. It was like James versus everybody. Okay, like they didn't have and they were playing a really good team up there in Portland. And so to me, like, him showing out like that, especially coming off the issues that he had, right, where he obviously was a huge distraction to the team. It was negative press for him, negative press for the team. You know, I've talked about this with a lot of folks around the league. Has James Harden hurt his trade value by the way that he has acted off the court? I don't think so. From my understanding, George, the offers for James are good. There are several of them. One person told me there's at least 6 teams that have made offers that are very interested in Harden. So to me, I don't think anything's hurt his trade value, but it's always good to remind people how good you are.
Absolutely. No, I think it's something as well. I think anytime you get to see that talent back on the court, and you can just see that even when he's a little distracted with all of the stuff that's going on, that's how good he is. He's still better than most players in the NBA, and he almost went up there to Portland and beat a really good Portland team. You know, I haven't really praised Portland to the level that I should, but with Nurkic on the court, they look like a different team a lot of times. And so with James going up there and almost willing that victory, the reason I say it's something is because you are going to get Wall back and you're going to get Boogie back. And if they can get those 3 talents to play together where James is enjoying it and they are winning games, maybe Houston can reel them back in and get them back into the fold. That's going to be a tall task, but I think that's why it's something, is because he's back on the court and those other 2 guys are coming back soon.
Yeah, I agree, and I would also go something. But here's the thing, not to mention, let's not forget about Christian Wood, who also balled out in that game, and the Rockets paid a nice chunk of change to bring him to that roster. I think that that's a kid also that you have to look at. I know a lot of executives perhaps looked at him and said, well, he's putting up big numbers on bad teams or whatever. But this kid can play, legitimately can play, and I think he can help that team. And I don't know, Momo, what do you think? Is there any chance that Houston could reel him back in, or is that ship sailed?
I'm never going to say never, okay? Right. Because I firsthand covered a team like that here in Los Angeles when Kobe Bryant wanted to be traded to literally anywhere but the Lakers back in 2007. I mean, he was, trade me to Pluto. I think that was the line that he used. So it has happened in the past. I don't think it's going to happen here. I think James wants to be traded. I think that's very clear. And I think all this does is remind his suitors, who, by the way, there are already, I'll say it again, at least 6 teams that I know have inquired about him. I think they already want him. It's about negotiating right now. And somebody very close to the situation told me last night, like, let's see what this does to the offers over the next week or 2, and to see how they improve. Not just by one game, he has to sustain this, okay? But this was a nice reminder, and I do think James still wants to be moving on and going someplace else. It's just a question of whether the Rockets can find a trade to their liking.
All right, and we'll move on as well. Coming up, the Knicks had a hilarious jersey malfunction over the weekend. Even when they get a win, man, we got to clown the Knicks for some reason, which inspired us to cook.
It's a make-or-miss league.
Yeah, it is. Make, fright, Scary Terry gets the pass here from LaMelo Ball and packs it up.
Okay.
Kevin Durant. He had a nice dunk against Brooklyn a few years ago, too. Fizz, why does Terry save his best for the Nets?
Come on, man. The best bring out the best. That's what happens. And, KD is going to happen sometimes because he's always going to go after it. And that's what I like about KD. But nice, Scary Terry. Way to go up and punch it.
Scary Terry playing really well thus far this season. Next, Miss the Grinch. Magic and Wiz off the miss. Thomas Bryant, he dunks it. Watch this. For the other team. Ooh. Ramona, is he still feeling that holiday spirit, you think?
I just think it was just like basket and rim. He was going up for the rebound. I don't know. Sometimes you just look at the wrong plays. I felt bad for him when that happened. He knew it as soon as he did it,
Still
too.
giving gifts.
Come on, man. What happened there? Like, you got to know that's not your side. That reminds me of like Ricky Davis. Do you remember Ricky Davis went for that triple-double and tried to do the rebound off the backboard, off his own backboard that one time? Good Lord. All right, next. Make surprises. Dubs down 2. They can't get it into Steph, so Damian Lee, check this out, calls an audible and hits the game winner.
I love it.
Ramona, good sign for the Dubs or what?
Man, they needed a win. I'm telling you, they looked so bad in their first couple of games. Like, they needed something right there, and I thought that was a really big shot right there because nobody had him as shooting that last shot, right?
No. Fizz, you didn't
not at all. But I do like that. You can see within the play that he was an option in it. That was a fluid action. People are going to take Steph away right now.
Yeah.
There's no Clay, no Draymond Green out on the court. That's a big shot for that young kid, and he came off ready to shoot, so I like it.
As Shaq likes to say, sometimes the others need to step up. That's one of the others. All right, Miss Greed. Marc Gasol started in place of AD. He dished out 8 assists in 21 minutes. Fizz, you coach the man. How much better does he make the Lakers?
Oh, scary good. Think about it. They were playing with 2 power centers who usually hurt spacing. Now you got a guy who can play from all ranges, getting people easy baskets. And I'm telling you, Kyle Kuzma is going to eat with Marc Gasol. We're going to see him play out that contract. And the Lakers made a great decision in giving him that money because he got Schroeder and Gasol to make him look better.
Yeah, certainly Kyle Kuzma looked great in that game as well, courtesy of Marc Gasol, as you mentioned. We move on. Make dysfunction. Guess what? The Knicks did something funny. Reggie Bullock and Mitchell Robinson both had the same number 23 on the back of their jerseys. Bullock had his correct number 25 on the front, but somehow it didn't match the back. So, Ramona, how the hell does something like that happen?
Look, there is an equipment manager somewhere, okay, who is finding a new job. Like that. I can tell this happens. They sew the jersey numbers on all the time. They don't always have the same jerseys, right? Like they go through different jerseys, and you could just see how you're going fast. It's 23. It's 25. Like it happens.
I know.
It shouldn't.
All right, time to run it back. The best wardrobe malfunctions ever in the NBA. So no Janet Jackson or anything like that, all right? I was there for that Super Bowl, by the way. Completely missed it while I was there. Honorable mention from 2013. Somebody's toddler wanders onto the court during the postgame. And Ramona, you and I, and now Fizz can attest to this, in their diaper.
Wasn't that Kendrick Perkins' son? Was that Kendrick?
That might have been.
I want to say that was Little Kendrick.
Might have been Little Kendrick.
There are just times when you're like, whatever, I'm not even going to put pants on you. It's fine.
Next, Lucas Nogueira decides to put his pants down while Derek Favors is at the foul line.
This is a children's program for crying out loud.
I mean, what is going on here? Good Lord.
All
right, another one for you. Amari in 2010 playing defense, and somehow the number on the front of his jersey gets ripped off. Look at this. In 2008, Donyell Marshall.
That's great. That is fantastic.
That's funny. Donyell Marshall in 2008 tries to check into the game without a jersey, and LeBron thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. Look at this. He's like, yo, man, I didn't know I was getting back in.